Everyone, welcome back to another video. So this is another video in my Italy series. This week you might have noticed that I've been posting a lot more frequently. I'm trying to post every day, every other day, so definitely subscribe. I'm uploading a lot more as of late with all this extra time that we've all got, so yeah, loving that, loving all the videos, loving pumping them out. It's great. So I'm sitting here, I've got my coffee, and I'm about to get into another video about Italian culture. And today I'm going to be focusing on food differences between Australia and Italy and things. So these are both things that I guess could be misconceptions about Italy, or just things to do with food, grocery stores, markets, things about like the order they eat their food and everything like that. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is that Italian food in Italy is not like the Italian food in Australia. I mean, I guess there are a few exceptions to this. Like, there are some pretty good Italian restaurants that you can find in Australia. Sydney has a lot. I used to work in one, actually, like a pizza restaurant, an Italian restaurant. What I found actually to be really interesting about Italian food in Italy was that it's really different to maybe what our perception of Italian food is in Australia, or if you've never been to Italy or whatever. So they don't have like garlic bread, they don't have Hawaiian pizza, their carbonara sauce, so like if you have spaghetti carbonara, for example, or like fettuccine with like a creamy based sauce and a pasta, they don't make it with cream. It's made with predominantly of egg yolks, parmesan, and it's kind of like whisked together, and then it makes this like sauce which is a lot richer, it's a lot thicker, but it's not as creamy. But that's actually how you make a traditional carbonara sauce, which that was news to me. I had no idea it was made with egg, but yeah, it is. And garlic bread isn't a thing. You won't see, like if you go out to an Italian restaurant, you're not gonna see people eating garlic bread or anything like that. Like, you won't see it on a menu anywhere. Their food is very much simple. Their pizzas are like maximum 3 to 4 ingredients, and most of them just eat like margherita, which is like the buffalo mozzarella and tomato base, and a little bit of basil, and sometimes it has fresh tomato as well, which is delish. And their crust as well, there are different kinds of crusts in Italy. Like there's the Neapolitan one, the Sicilian one, and like the Northern Italy one. There's a few different ones, but you can either have like the thick ones that kind of curve around, or they have like thinner ones as well. But the point being that Italian food, maybe our perception of what Italian food is in Australia, is very different to what it actually is in Italy, and you cannot beat the food in Italy. It's just the best. I'm actually missing it right now just thinking about it. The pizzas. I'm actually going to do a video as well. I just thought of this because when I first got to Milan, I was, I wanted restaurant recommendations, the best pizza places, the best cafes, the best dessert places, bars, things like that. So I really appreciated any recommendation that I got. And I know obviously we're not doing a lot of traveling right now, but I thought it might be useful for when, we can plan holidays again, and you do want to go to Milan, you want to go to Italy, to recommend to you guys some of my favorite cafes and restaurants in Milan, the best pizza you can get, the best aperitivo and things like that. So I'm gonna make a video about all my favorite restaurants and things like that, cafes in Milan, best coffee, best pizza. I think that would be really good, so stay tuned for that one. The next thing I'm going to talk about is about the supermarkets and kind of how they're laid out, what you have to do in there. So it was so funny when I first arrived in Milan, and my first couple of times going grocery shopping, I was so confused because okay, there's a few things that you have to know when you go into a supermarket in Italy. So you have to weigh all your fruit and veg, you have to print off like all your own stickers. they don't do any of that for you like in Australia, where you'll go to the supermarket and you'll just take all of your loose fruit and veg to the counter. They'll weigh it for you and everything in the little bags and whatever. In Italy, you have to like put it in a bag yourself and then put it on the scales yourself, print out a sticker for it. So they'll have all the fruits and veg and everything will have a number. So you punch in that number to like their little computer thing in the fruit and veg section. And then it prints you out a little sticker. You stick it on your bag or your, you know, whatever. And then that's what you take to the counter. And I was so confused at the start because I didn't know that's what I had to do. And so I just took like all my loose fruit and veg up to the counter, and they were like, no, like you have to take this back and weigh it yourself. And I was like, I had literally so much because it was my first, one of my first big shops. And I had just all of these loose fruit and veg, like, oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. Very, very different. You do learn really, really quickly, but it was just one thing that I noticed straight away that was really, really different to Australia. One thing I love though, is that they have so many like fresh fruit veggie markets. They've got like cheeses and the meats and fresh fruit veggies from, because they get actually a lot of their fruit and veg a lot from the south. So a lot of the agricultural work in Italy is done in the south, because that's, you know, where all the land is. There's not so like densely populated cities like in the north, like Milan, Torino, and Genova. In the south there's a lot more agricultural work. They grow a lot of the food that gets sent to the north. So even a lot of the wine as well is from places like Puglia, Basilicata, Sicily, and places like that, which they do the best wine, I'm telling you. And the best thing as well is that it's so cheap, and you can buy wine from the supermarket. Like, you just can't do that in Australia. They have like dedicated bottle shops, but you'll walk into the supermarket and you'll take like a bottle of wine or whatever, and you can literally pass through the self-serve and like serve yourself like a bottle of wine. It's crazy. Like, the regulations around alcohol are just so light, and I touched on that in one of my other videos as well, but that was something that was so different from Australia, so different from what I'm used to. It's definitely a positive difference, I think. I mean, I would prefer it to be like that, and the alcohol is so cheap. Like, you can buy a bottle of wine, a pretty good one as well, for like 10 euros or less than 10 euros. Most of the time I would just buy like 5 or 6 euro bottles or whatever, and they were still pretty good. But they have like I remember I was buying wine for a gift one time, and I went to this in Milan. They have this like amazing wine shop, and you walk in there and it's just so overwhelming, and you're just like, oh my god, like, where do I start? What's the best one? And they really help you as well. They're really knowledgeable about their wines, about their food. Like, when I went into this shop, the man that worked there, he was quite young, but he just knew so much. He had so much knowledge about the wines and about the different regions that they come from, and it really helps to sell them as well. Whereas it may not be, in my experience anyway, as common for people to know so much about their wines and everything in Australia. I mean, obviously if you go to like a dedicated wine shop, they would, but yeah, that's definitely, in general, people know a lot more about wine and the different regions they come from and different flavors and things like that, which I really loved. So that was really good. Last thing that I'm going to talk about is the specific order that they eat their food. So, for example, and there are a few instances where I really embarrassed myself actually. So, okay, so Italians have a certain order that they like to eat their food in, and it's very set. So if you go to a restaurant, the first thing that you start with would be like an aperitivo. So that would be things like cold cuts. It would be maybe cheese, peanuts, like olives and alcohol, like an Aperol spritz or something like that. And then you'll go into your primo piatto, which would usually be like a pasta dish, and that's kind of like your main dish, I guess, is the pasta. And then you go secondo piatto, which is usually like, it can be meat, it can be like a salad. And then you'll go into your dolce, a cafe, which is your dessert, and then your coffee. And then after that they have digestivo, which is like after your, if you want a coffee, you can either have your coffee or digestivo, or you can have both. Digestivo is things like limoncello, they have meloncello, which is just meant to help you digest your food, because they eat, you know, quite a lot of food. The different plates are small, so it seems like you're eating a lot because there's a lot of different meals, I guess, and different, I guess, sections of the meal itself, but each of the plates are quite small, so I guess you're still eating a normal amount, but it's just like better for your digestion, I suppose, to separate the different things. And it's like just their culture, it's just their tradition. So that's where I'm gonna end today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and make sure to subscribe for new videos every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!